Thank you for joining me. I'm Sandy Walden from Serenity, Master Grief Coach and Master Grief Coach Trainer. Today, I am joined by one of the marvelous coaches that it was my privilege to train, Robin Stegall. Welcome, Robin.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It is absolutely my pleasure. Robin is amazing. She's located near Houston in Texas. And I'm hoping there's no flooding or weird things going on there right now. Robin does amazing work as a master grief coach, and she also runs a nonprofit. Correct me if I have this wrong. It is called Riding for Ryan Motorcycle Organization, and this is to raise motorcycle awareness. Is that true, or is there more I should be saying about that?
Nope, that was perfect. Riding for Ryan, motorcycle organization.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Robin is a wonderful woman who enjoys the outdoors and her animals. And I love when you talk, when you share about the critters in your life, and the most amazing proud mom of 4 boys. So Robin, let's dive right in and talk about what brought you to learning about being a master grief coach and creating this nonprofit that I know is so important to you. What brought you to this place?
All my life, I've loved helping others, helping friends, family, strangers. It didn't matter. I just loved helping people and kind of instilled that in my boys as well. And a couple of years ago, my oldest son passed away in a motorcycle accident. And it was just, it was the unimaginable. I mean, you just unreal. And after his accident, after the funeral, after everything kind of settled down, I looked around at all his friends and I thought to myself, I've got to do something to protect them. And I did not want another mother to go through what I was going through. And that's when I decided that I was going to, motorcycle awareness just didn't seem like there was enough of it around. So I decided this is what I'm going to do. This is my new passion. But in the midst of doing that, I realized how much I love helping people, and decided that I wanted to be a master grief coach as well. And I decided that not only because of the motorcycle awareness end of it, but also because after losing my son, I had a hard time finding that right person to talk to. Somebody who could understand what I was going through, my thoughts, my feelings, and just somebody to help guide me. And I felt like I could. And so I seeked out training and absolutely loved it. And in that process, I feel like it was helping me as well. It was helping me heal, helping me see things a little bit more clearly, helping me find that path that I wanted to go on. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm now a master grief coach and absolutely loving it.
And you do such good work, Robin. I know that. So is that when you work as a master grief coach, does this mean that you are telling someone what they need to do to get from that place of original loss to that place of being hot dog happy again? Do you tell them what to do, or what does it look like for someone when they're working with you?
It's not necessarily telling them what to do. It's guiding them. It's helping them find their path, find their journey, and actually just walking with them through that healing process and finding it.
And I love the way you express that, because when I hear you saying walking with them,
Mhm.
I get these wonderful chills, because I think that's what we all need. We need to know we're not alone. We need to know it's okay to be brokenhearted, that we're not going to stay there, but it's all right to be sad today, and that you have our back, that you're going to make it safe for us to express those thoughts and feelings.
Mhm.
So Robin, who do you work with? Do I need to be a mom to seek you out? Um, because everybody works with someone different. Now, I've lost a son, though I lost my son in a very different way.
Mhm.
Am I the person who would connect with you? What if I'm a 20-year-old man? What if my loss was different? Who is the right person to be guided by you?
I am open to talking with anybody going through grief, going through loss. Um, I tend to want to reach out to other parents who have lost a child or siblings who lost a brother or sister, only because that's my own. However, I'm open to talk to others as well and want to help them also with this journey and working one on one with them, or even I'm looking a little bit in the future here, but I'm going to do some groups as well. But one on one is where I'm at right now, and basically just working with them, helping them find the right path for that healing. And it can be a mom, it can be a dad, it can be a brother, it can be a sister. I'm open to talk to anyone.
So, Robin, if my friend died in an accident, is my grief less? Should I sort of be ignoring it and be showing up there for the family? Is it okay for me to be sad too? Or should I just sort of put that aside and make sure I'm showing up for the family? What do you see with those sort of experiences?
With that, I mean, no, anybody can feel grief. Anybody can. I mean, it can be, and I'm going to use this range here. I mean, people feel grief when they lose a pet. I mean, that's like a child. That's part of their family. Anybody can feel grief if you lose a friend, if you lose a family member. It doesn't even have to be somebody you know. You could be watching the news and you see a story or something on the news, and it just gets right to you. It means something to you, and you can feel grief just watching that. So anybody can feel grief. It doesn't have to be a direct loss. It can be an indirect loss as well.
So if I'm feeling this profound sadness, this loss, but it wasn't my person, it wasn't my parent, my child, my sibling, even my close friend, isn't that less? Does that really count as much? Am I entitled to feel that pain and have someone talk to me about it?
Absolutely. You are very entitled to have that pain. Those are your personal feelings, and nobody can tell you that it's not okay to feel that way. So, absolutely, those are very valid and it's okay.
I love that you say that, and I know you mean it,
Mhm.
because something I've often heard from someone is, well, at least it wasn't. And that really hurts those comparables, those comparing this person with that. I think about the dogs that I've loved in my life. No, it's not the same as my son or your son, but it's still heartbreaking on its own.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that really matters to me, that you talk about that. So if I'm coming to you for a session, and maybe it's been 7 years since my person died, but I'm still not feeling okay about it. Is that too late?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It doesn't matter whether it's fresh or it's down the road. You can have feelings at any time. With me personally, I can have a great day. One day things are going smooth. The next day it could be anything, any little thing. Just all of a sudden I'm crying, I'm upset. Emotions are all over the place. I like to look at not just grief with emotions, but I look at it as like waves, as people say. And you can be sitting on the beach and have those little tiny waves just, hitting your feet. And then in a few moments, they're bigger. That's kind of like your days. You may go a few days or weeks or months or years feeling absolutely okay. You're dealing with those little waves, and all of a sudden, a bigger one comes, kind of knocks you down. And that's perfectly fine. It's normal. And I would love to talk to anybody who's, whether, like I said, whether it's fresh, whether it's 7 years, whether it's 10 years, it's absolutely okay.
It's really quite a relief to hear someone say it's normal. To
Mhm.
hear someone say it's normal and it's part of life is really, I think that's very comforting, because it means I'm not wrong and I'm not defective or broken. Something we hear so often is time will heal all wounds. And perhaps we see the pages changing on the calendar and the months. and the years, but I haven't felt relief. What happens if I don't find ways to express my grief? Am I just stuck with it?
I find a lot of people do say time heals all wounds. It just takes time. But if you're not doing something in that time, then it is just time. Time is just passing, but it's not helping you heal. So I like to help you discover ways to find things that can help you find that healing process. This way, your time is not just time. That time is actually spent finding a way to heal.
Beautifully expressed. And your way might be different than mine.
Yes, I think every coach has their own technique.
Well, and even as a person who's grieving,
Mhm.
what if you cried all day long, but I didn't cry on Thursday? Or what if you are not talking about your son today and all I want to talk about is Mikey? Those differences. So, what I hear you saying is it's okay for you to be the amazing Robin and grieve in the way that's right for Robin. And it's okay if mine looks and sounds and feels a little different.
Absolutely. I wouldn't expect any two people to grieve the same way. I believe that everybody is on their own personal grief journey or path. And I firmly believe that no two grieve the same. I mean, it's very different for a parent grieving a child. It's very different for a friend grieving, another friend. It's very different for a grandparent, sibling. It's just everybody I feel is on their own path. It's very different and it's again very normal, very much okay.
And I have to say how much I appreciate that you understand those differences. I
Mhm.
use my own family. My husband and I each lost a son, and yet we grieve in our own ways. My surviving sons each lost a brother, yet their grief looks very different. So I find it very helpful that you see those differences without making them more or less. I hear you saying that they're simply unique.
Yes.
So, Robin, can you tell me a little bit more about your nonprofit organization, Riding for Ryan? Tell me a little bit more
Yes.
about what that is, what it does, what it's about.
So our mission in that mainly is to bring about motorcycle awareness to permitted and licensed drivers, but also to get it out there in the community as well. And not only just motorcycle awareness, bring safety awareness, road awareness. So many people, they hear the bikes, they see the bikes, but they don't understand why the bikes might be riding a little to the left or a little to the right, or different things that people just aren't aware of. And if you look at the manuals for for the driving manuals and stuff when you're 16 learning to drive, there really isn't a very big section on motorcycles at all. And in fact, it's very minute. So I really am trying to emphasize a lot of that and just bring awareness to, and I think that's where it starts really is where when they're learning to drive, the 16-year-olds. So the permitted drivers, I think it's very important for them to notice the motorcycles, to make sure they're looking in their mirrors and, um, and just hearing them, seeing them, they're on the road and they can share the road with them. But the organization is, we want to provide scholarships as well to the children of fallen riders. And so last year, we had a little setback with COVID. That was our first actual year up and running. And so this year we are working. We have one little girl that we're working with right now that we're trying to raise money for a scholarship. And hopefully we'll have a second one by the end of the year. And we're going to do different events and stuff, for children and stuff of fallen riders. But we also want to promote safety awareness too for the riders themselves. There's a lot of them out there that um, may not wear the proper gear. We want to make sure that everybody's safe.
So this is really multifaceted, isn't it? It's for the motorcycle riders, it's for those who share the road, whether I'm driving my little sedan, my bicycle, or a big pickup truck.
Mhm.
And you're also taking care of the people who love someone.
Yes.
That's really amazing. And I want to let anybody who's listening to this know that we're going to put a link for your organization down below so that they can find out how they can support Riding for Ryan, as well as how they can learn more, because what I hear from you is we all have more to learn, no matter where we are.
Hmm.
So that's really important. So one thing I forgot to ask you, do I have to live in the Houston area to work with you? Because I'm clear on the other end of the country, girl.
No, nowadays, since Zoom is so popular, you do not have to be local. If you are, I mean, you'd like to meet, that's absolutely perfectly fine with me as well. But Zoom works just great, so you can be anywhere.
And actually, that's something I have found through the years of coaching um, before Zoom, that often clients were more comfortable on the phone. And yet there's a very different sort of intimacy when we can be in the same room. So there's not a right or wrong, there's just different, isn't it?
Hmm.
So that's really quite wonderful. Robin, what have I not asked you that I should really be asking you, that people who are listening need to know?
I think we covered quite a bit, but one other thing I did want to add, just going back to grief and those who are experiencing it, there are many, many different layers of grief. And I'm going to use this one as an example, but my mother had dementia for quite some time. And I was dealing with the grief of losing my mother, even though she was physically there. And that is a very real feeling. Very, that is definitely a grieving thing that you're going through. So I wanted to let people know that is absolutely a real thing too. So if you know somebody that has an illness, you're feeling so many things, or there's different layers of grief. It doesn't even have to be an illness. It could be different, just you may have had somebody that you didn't know, that you heard that they had passed away, and you're grieving the loss of somebody you didn't even get to meet yet. So there's different layers of grief. And I just wanted to get that out there, that you don't have to actually lose somebody to be feeling grief. And definitely, if you're looking for somebody to help you walk that path to find that healing during the grief, definitely, definitely give me a call, look me up, send a message, and I am very willing to be that person to walk with you.
I can't think of anybody better to be walking with those who are walking through this grief. And I think that's an excellent point. Sometimes we refer to it as pre-grieving, but it's grief on its own, isn't it?
It sure is.
And
Hmm.
grief, while it's absolutely the term that we use for the loss when someone we care about dies, it can also be rehoming a pet,
Yes.
leaving our home, whether we've lost it or we've simply moved away, taking a new job, grieving our health or finances. Robin, the work you do you address other sorts of grief, or do you simply, and I don't mean simply at all, forgive me, do you focus only on grief that's brought on by death, or do you address other sorts of grief as well?
I do address, I am open to address grief in all areas. Um, my specialty is working with parents who lost a child or siblings, who lost a brother or sister, but I am open, to speak with others as well.
Perfect, perfect. And I know that they are being guided by somebody who truly has a magnificent heart and understands not just grief, but grieving and moving toward that place of healing, that it is a process, that it's not a beginning and an end, that it's a path.
Mhm.
So thank you for joining me today, Robin. Can you tell us how we can reach out to you, or would you like to simply put it in, I will have it in writing underneath. That way they don't have to worry about understanding me or you.
Absolutely, that sounds perfect. You can reach me through Facebook, Messenger, I've email address, whichever you prefer. But yes, Sandy, thank you for putting that below.
Perfect, perfect. And for any of you who are listening to this, I want to thank you for joining us today. Know that Robin is truly a very compassionate, kind, excellent coach to walk with you through your grief into healing. Robin, thank you for joining me today. It's
Thank
my
you.
honor to introduce you.
It was great being here. Thank you.
Namaste.